practicing as an attorney for the New York City Law Department, and which represents the city in lawsuits. And then within about 3 years of that, I became the city's lead trial attorney. I'm a Dominican immigrant. I was the first Latino to given this position, and I would go all over the 5 boroughs in upstate, trying the biggest cases that were brought against the city of New York. And then from there, I decided to start my own practice, and I've been in private practice ever since. I never wanted to be part of the big firm, structure. I always didn't want anyone to tell me what kind of cases I could take, and I wanted to kind of be in control of my practice, and it's been very rewarding. So then, I would say like in the middle, from let's say the 90s through the early 2000s, I practiced exclusively criminal defense. Here in New York, it was a good time to do that. There was a lot of work, and I did it at a very, very high level, representing all kinds of folks, artists, producers, designers, just general, even street crime, from drug cases all the way through white collar homicide and all of that. Then that work ended when the city got safe. And now I do a lot of different types of federal and state litigation, still always in the courts, representing individuals, businesses, and all kinds of matters. But I also focus any free time that I have on exoneration work. I do that kind of on the side, and I've been fortunate enough to have exonerated 7 men in the last about 14 years in different cases in the boroughs of the city for crimes they didn't commit, anywhere from 18 years they served up to the most, which is 29 years. So that work takes a lot of my quote unquote free time. I only do reinvestigation cases. So we don't do DNA cases. So they take a lot of time going back and, into neighborhoods, trying to look for people, look for new evidence. I love that work. It's very rewarding. And then I also teach. I'm an adjunct professor of law at New York Law School for 8 years, and now the last 3 years at Truro Law. And the class that I'll be teaching in the fall of 2022 will probably be near and dear to your heart. It's called The Color of Law, and it discusses how federal government programs are what led to segregation in housing, focusing on Long Island, but really all across the country. So we certainly hope that class will have the kind of discussions and dialogue that your program brings to kind of wake people up to the fact that the situation that we're in, we didn't get here by accident. We got here on very careful, very intentional planning for about anywhere between 200 and 400 years. So, I think it's important for law students to learn that and let them not just have the information, but find out how they can get active to try to bring about the change that we need, particularly here in New York.
Yeah, I mean, wow, you hit on so many points there. I want to jump on every single one of them, but let's go ahead and go and talk about the class a little bit since you brought it up.
Sure.
So where did you get the idea for the class, and so you kind of mentioned what you hope students take away from it. I guess my question about that is, do you think that law students will be receptive to that kind of message?
I've been a lot more hopeful the last few years about the future generation. I think that they're very focused on issues. I think that they're issue driven. I'm enjoying seeing the challenge to the kind of staid, middle of the road politics of the parties that I normally, support, and that's coming from progressive candidates. I think that's, very refreshing. So yeah, I do think that there's an audience there that wants to hear the message. So what happened was I'm on the board of directors of the Nassau County Bar Association, and we started a diversity and inclusion committee. And then within that committee, we started a diversion and inclusion book club. And so my friend Judge Maxine Broderick brought this book, The Color of Law, by Richard Rothstein. And as you could tell, I've been into these issues, so I thought I pretty much got, knew what was going on. And this book just opened my eyes to so many things that I was not aware of what the government did. Some of our heroes like Franklin Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt, etc., that led to segregation in public housing, but more in housing in general. I shouldn't say public and private, but kind of more importantly, like I learned things about how close we were to getting it right at the early stages, and then it just went in a different direction. So using that book, I developed a curriculum about the topics it discussed and then the cases to try to show uh, law students what happened, how it happened, and then also some of the good things that are happening. The class will end with one or two classes, talk about some of the great work that some civil rights activists have been doing here on Long Island to try to change things. Most people don't know that Nassau County is one of the most segregated counties in the country, more segregated than Georgia, Alabama, Missouri, Mississippi, and it got that way on purpose. And I think that's the message that we want to try to send to students.